What's likely to be on the agenda during this call-in?
Well, look, the Kremlin actually has posted a lot of the questions, and they say they've gotten more than 1 million. So there's a very selection of the questions, in addition to the fact that many people obviously see this as a stage-managed exercise. Not all of the questions are spontaneous, surprise, surprise. The Kremlin says we're going to hear about foreign affairs. Russians want to know about the country's standoff with the West. There are a lot of questions about that. But there are even more socioeconomic questions. Increasingly, particularly from the regions, people are worried about wages, inflation, and generally the state of the economy, because, over the last few years, that's become a big issue.
I mean, dig into us for a little bit the foreign policy element and the Ukraine and the Minsk agreement, which does seem to have been thrown into some jeopardy of late. We've seen a rise in some of the violence that's happening between the two countries. I mean, is that going to be at the forefront in terms of the foreign policy issues?
I think so, because, Russians see pictures from eastern Ukraine every single day. Earlier this week, a Russian journalist was killed there. Earlier this week, we had the most deadly, bloody day of violence in 2 months in the conflict. People see that and they want to know. They're concerned, is this going to spill over into Russia proper? Look, if we're talking about a greater Russian world, are you going to recognize the two regions in the east of Ukraine that say they want independence, like Crimea? If we're going to be so supportive, why don't we do that? So, I mean, I think that these are the kind of issues, because they're propagated by state media, that he's going to have to and probably want to address in any case.
On the flip side of the coin, yes, the economy isn't in good shape, but the markets are in better shape, aren't they? The ruble falling below 50 to the dollar. The
almost
local
on cue.
Government bond market has had a good 2015. So from a market perspective, you'd have to say the worst of the crisis is over, at least for now?
At least for now, and that's the sort of getting back to the tenuous situation. Everybody looks at the geopolitics and says, well, maybe this is going to be tenuous, what we have in the markets as well. But you're right, the ruble strengthening through 50 to the dollar. It now costs less than 50 rubles to buy a dollar is extraordinary. That's the best the ruble's done since November. It's up 20% this year. It's the world's best performer. That's after being the world's worst performer, down 46% last year. So that's extraordinary, particularly because part of the reason for that is yesterday we hit at all-time high this year for the price of oil, which aids the Russian budget. So that's good for wages and things like that. But let's not forget, it could be tenuous, A, and B, the ruble is something that Russians think about, the exchange rate, but it's just a leading indicator. What they're really concerned about is what they're dealing with right now, and the strengthening of the ruble hasn't filtered through to them. So you look at the month of March, inflation was just shy of 17%,
Amazing.
The worst, the fastest it's been in 13 years. Real wages are declining. Think about the first 2 terms of President Putin's rule. We had GDP rising by 7% nearly every year on average, right? In addition to that, real wages rose, disposable income up 10%. Now disposable income down, the economy teetering, at the edge of recession. So, it might make him a bit more confidence, maybe a little sort of quiet confidence. But I would be surprised if he really started boasting about the strength of the ruble and for example, as you said, local bond market in dollar terms, or even the stock market, which also in dollar terms is done phenomenally, like up 80% in the last couple of months. So, listen to him, be very careful today. Probably going to hear him bash NATO, bash the West, but maybe give us some hints. He has a way of really surprising everyone with these calls.
Quickly give us your bet. How long will he go for? Because the record is, what, 4 hours and 37 minutes?
4 hours, 47 minutes.
47
very
minutes.
close. I know you time it. Look, I think he set the record. It's all about the alpha male. He had disappeared from the public eye, though you wouldn't have known it because on Russian state TV they didn't talk about the fact that he disappeared.
10 days.
Yes. And, some people said maybe it's back pain, maybe, maybe his girlfriend is having a baby. But I would be surprised if he really, goes too long, because at the end of the day, everybody knows he can go really long. Last year, he stopped short, 50 minutes short of his record, but he still fielded 80 questions. That's probably enough to show everybody that he's in charge, that he's a healthy 62-year-old man.